Welcome to the Butterfly Effect. I'm Garrett Horner. This is stage 11 of the Giro d'Italia, brought to you by Bicycle, the largest global marketplace for pre-owned bikes. With over 20,000 high-quality pre-owned and refurbished bikes available, Bicycle connects to buyers and sellers to make the process of buying and selling bikes safe, easy, and convenient. Remember, sellers, if you're selling a bike, to use the code ButterflyEffect24 for 0% seller fee. Now, let's get into today's stage 11 because it's going to be an exciting sprint finish, but it's 207 kilometers, about 130 miles in length. So if you woke up for the very beginning of it, you probably fell back to sleep because nothing happened. Guys, nothing happened on today's race until we get into about 30 kilometers to go. So let me back things up to stage 10 and talk about Bahrain Victorious just a little bit before we start to stage 11. I saw some comments where people said Tibieri's tactics were good and they're putting pressure on Kian Utebrooks, who was wearing the white jersey of the race leader here for the young guys. Now, they said he was attacking and going up the climb, so he wasn't quite a knucklehead. Guys, Tibieri and Bahrain Victorious were an incredible knucklehead on yesterday's stage 10 because Tibieri is an unknown rider. It's not his job to worry about if Kian Utebrooks gets dropped and loses the race leader's white jersey. Not on stage 10. You have multiple big-time mountain stages coming from stage 15 all the way to the finish of the Giro. If you're going to drop Kian Utebrooks on stage 10, he's definitely going to drop on 15, 16, 17, or somewhere between 15 and the finish of the Giro. So if you're Tibieri and Bahrain Victorious, the director sportifs, who I blame mainly for this, Tibieri, I don't blame that much because he is racing for the white jersey, which means he's young, and young guys can be knuckleheads. But the director sportif in the car should know that the other favorites here, when you're talking Tadej Pogačar, you're talking Danny Martinez, Geraint Thomas, and Ben O'Connor, the little bit more experienced riders here. Okay, Tadej Pogačar is not that much more experienced, but a little bit. But Geraint Thomas is 37 going on 38. He should have some experience, and for sure to be those first four guys racing for the general classification, that will put pressure on Kian Utebrooks in the later mountain stages. Maybe they would have done it on yesterday's stage 10 if Bahrain Victorious hadn't done it for him, but the director sportif back there's panicking, trying to get the white leader's jersey or trying to drop some of the GC guys. Now, I think they were actually pulling because they wanted to get time back on Bardet and the other threats up there in the general classification, and they were just protecting sixth on GC, which means they're knuckleheads because, again, nobody knows what Tibieri can do. He's too young. He's not a threat. They're not worried about him. Tadej Pogačar said he had the big balls here and he was attacking and he liked that. But Tadej Pogačar saying that because he wants other guys to ride 25 kilometers from the finish of each stage all the way into the finish. So Tadej Pogačar could just ride second, third, fourth wheel all the way up to the finish and not have to ride his team and not blow his team up. So Bahrain Victorious, just let the stew sit there and boil a little bit and sit there and simmer some more and simmer some more because we got stage 15, 16, 17 coming up. So you guys are a knucklehead for trying to drop Kian Utebrooks. And then if you woke up and turned the TV on today to watch today's stage 11, Kian Utebrooks is out 6, so now Bahrain Victorious wasted all that energy if it was for the white jersey because Kian Utebrooks dropped out of 5th, dropped out of the race leader's white jersey. So Tibieri, you have it anyways. Your director's a knucklehead. Please don't listen to that guy ever again. Go back to Plate de Tivo, that climb there where you're attacking. That's the way you want to race. You want to wait till things slow down. You want to start attacking and see if the other guys, Tadej Pogačar, Geraint Thomas, Danny Martinez, and Ben O'Connor will start to look at each other. You get a little gap, then you gain some time, but you don't want to ride all day. I'm sure they're riding for the breakaway reasons up there, Romain Bardet, but that's my rant here starting stage 11. Now let's get into the stage because at 207 kilometers, about 130 miles in length, it's going to be pan flat to finish, but it's climbing at the beginning. The climb's about 3 climbs total, 1 category climb, but 8 kilometers long. We're talking about 5.5%, so not crazy difficult. So once the cameras come on at kilometer 0, we see 3 riders go up the road. That's Thomas Champion from Cofidis. Then we see 2 Visma Lease bike riders in there, Tim van Dijk and Eduardo Affini. They get about a 2-minute gap. They're going to hold that all the way till we get into about the coast with 90 kilometers to go because 4 teams back there are chasing. Trek is chasing. Albacine de Koenig's on the front. Jayco's helping out, and Pseudo Quickstep's up there. So we got 4 teams chasing 2 guys. We get on the coast with 90 kilometers to go, and it's a picturesque view right there that the Peloton gets, and the gap's already under a minute, so we know the breakaway guys got no chance. They were upset about it. If I backed it up to the KOM, we saw some points back there for 4th place. That was Simon Gasking, who got some points there trying to hold on to the race leader's KOM jersey and get more points. Maybe he can make something happen here at the Giro d'Italia. But other than that, there was nothing else happening other than a little bit of argument at the top of that KOM that came from Johnny Milan and one of the UAE Team Emirates riders. But that was it. Nothing else happened. We're on the coast now. We're going to come into about 35 kilometers to go. Breakaway gets wrapped up. Then we get into 30 kilometers to go. We see the Peloton back there's nervous. They're curb to curb all over the place. UAE Team Emirates are looking after Tadej Pogačar, no problem. We get into about 21 kilometers to go. Piccolo from EF Education's attacking. Then we see a crash in the middle of the field there. That's UAE Team Emirates Großschartner and Kevin Vermark from DSM. Großschartner going down. This is going to get interesting right now. Remember when I backed up film way up to beyond the coverage the week before the Giro d'Italia, I told you UAE Team Emirates can't afford to lose any climbers, and Großschartner crashing right here. He's getting up slow. He's getting the knees checked out by the doctor, both the right and the left. He'll get on his bike and he'll finish, but he'll lose a ton of time. Kevin Vermark will get on his bike. He'll get back in the Peloton much later in the race. Now let's start fast forwarding as we see Piccolo's getting wrapped up with 18 kilometers to go. That didn't last too long. It's curb to curb. It's getting nervous again. We'll fast forward the video up to about 5.5 kilometers to go. We see it's Julian Alaphilippe on the front for Soudal Quickstep. We come into a couple obstacles shortly after. We see the island there as the Peloton's getting nervous and fighting left and right with the marshal there in front. Now we see Jayco's on the front. They're only going to hold it for a short time, but there's some more interesting facts once Ineos gets on the front, because Ineos is going full gas right now. They got 3-4 riders. Geraint Thomas is in a fine spot, and Narvaez is up here. With Ineos pulling full gas, Tadej Pogačar's lost all of his team because he's got climbers here, and then he's brought a sprinter, and Rui Oliveira's got a lead out man, so they're missing numbers all over because Großschartner crashed back there too. So Tadej Pogačar's trying to help out a little bit with Milano, and Rui Oliveira's looking after Milano, and Tadej Pogačar's looking after himself. So as we start coming up to just under 4 kilometers to go, Ineos is still on the front, but this is the first technical spot here of the finish of stage 11 as the island split in the road, and we got a right turn coming up at 3.8, 3.7 kilometers to go. Ineos is still on the front. Tadej Pogačar is about 50th spot. If they go into this right turn and there's a crash in the Peloton, there could be a split. That's why Ineos has got Geraint Thomas up there in a safe position, and they're flying through the right turn. As they come out, they drop under the bridge. The road comes back up and bumps up. We see Tadej Pogačar still in about 60th position, but he made it through cleanly with Ineos on the front. Now we're getting into about 2.5, 2.3 kilometers to go. Tadej Pogačar is flying up the left side. There's a little zig and a little zag, and Tadej Pogačar's starting to move up, and he's got Milano and he's got Rui Oliveira just behind his wheel. Now as Tadej Pogačar starts to move up, he's flying up there by Trek. Trek was lined out there at the front. As we see, it's Stuyven's up there, Ed Toons and Johnny Milan. They're not on the front, but they're near it, and Tadej Pogačar's flying up past the 3 riders there from Lidl Trek. As he flies past Stuyven's up there, Stuyven's is going to bump Rui Oliveira hard, and Ed Toons is going to bump Milano. As both riders are getting bumped, that's making room there for Stuyven's to bump one more time Rui Oliveira before he's got enough room to move to the left. Once he moves to the left, we see that Stuyven's looking right. He's making sure Johnny Milan's still there, and he is. So Stuyven starts accelerating. Once Stuyven goes back up to the front, he's going all the way back up to the Ineos train up there. And as that's happening, Geraint Thomas, he's up there sitting on his teammate's wheel there, the American rider, Magnus Sheffield, and he starts moving left. Once he moves left, he's right now, we're under 1.9 kilometers to go. What's he thinking? He's like, I want to get out of here. This is crazy. We made it under 3 kilometers to go. He yells over to Magnus Sheffield, move left. When he does, they move all the way left, and they're pinching off Lidl Trek there, Stuyven's. Stuyven's is going to have to go into the gutter just a hair there on the left side to make it around the duo there of the Ineos riders who are going to start dropping like a rock. As Stuyven's makes it around the Ineos riders on the left in the gutter, he's bringing his teammates with him. But once the road parted with Jayco on the right and with Trek going to the left, that opened up the middle of the road. Who's coming up the middle? Alpecin de Koenig's coming up the middle. 4 guys. This is the way you do it. If I back up the film to just about 2 kilometers ago, it was Jayco getting on the front, but that's way too far when they got on the front at 1.9 kilometers. Now when the road split and the ocean split right there, we see Alpecin de Koenig's flying up the middle with 4 riders. Look at the first rider rider there. That should be Tobias Bayer on there on the front. Plankard's looking back, and he sees that it's clean back there as he sees Caden Groves made the split coming up the center of the road. Once they start looking forward, they start going full gas, but guess what? They look forward. Caden Groves gets pinched off right here at a crucial moment. 3 Albacine de Koenig riders are throwing down, and they're coming into 1 kilometer to go with Tobias Bayer on the front. Bayer's going to pull into about 900 meters to go. Now let's look at an aerial view and see what's happening back there to Johnny Milland. Well, Johnny Milland, he was coming up with about 700-800 meters to go. He slots up there just behind Caden Groves and behind Caleb Ewan. Caleb Ewan sitting behind the Albacine de Koenig ride, Caden Groves. Johnny Milland squeezes in and gets a nice spot back there behind Caden Groves, who has his lead out guy, Jaco, up there from Luka Mezgits. Now, as we start coming a little bit further, Mezgits decides he's going to throw in a huge acceleration as the second Albacine de Koenig rider starting to pull off the front. Somewhere around 600 meters to go, he's pulling off the front. That means that Ed Plankard up there's got to go to work, and he's the last and final lead out man for Albacine de Koenig. But now let's look back there at Johnny Milland, because Johnny Milland saw up there Luka Mezgits look right back over his shoulder. As Luka Mezgits started throwing in his acceleration, Johnny Milland follows him from about the right side of the road around to the left, and he's flying up the left side there of the peloton. Now behind that, what was happening? Let's back the film up just a little bit more, because we'll see at Soudal, Quickstep was back there, and that's Bert van Leerberg and Tim Miller. We look a little bit further in front of them. Well, that's the American rider up there, Luc Lamperti, and Luc Lamperti's not quite in the spot, so we'll see he's a little too far forward, or you could say Tim Miller's a little too far back. Either way, Tim Miller's Bert van Leerberg, his lead out man in front of him. At the same time, Johnny Milland was moving to the left. Bert van Leerberg saw the opening there from Johnny Milland, so he went all the way to the left. Now he's coming the long way around, but he's in front of Johnny Milland. Now we're coming into about 400 meters to go. Just maybe before that, Luka Mezgits, who came flying around, like I said, he was leading out Johnny Milland, not Caleb Ewan. Luka Mezgits is starting to hit the front, because let me back the film up just a few meters back there as the last and final Albacine de Koenig rider. When he hit the front, guys, he's looking over his shoulder right. He's looking good, but he can't see Caden Groves, so he pulls off the front real quick. Now Luka Mezgits, as he came flying around from the back, he starts his sprint going full gas. Then there's a massive crash in the back. As we see, it's DSM going down. That's Fabio Jakobsen and his other sprinter, Tobias Anderson, both crashing back there. Now let's fast forward back up to the front. Luka Mezgits started the whole speed at the front now with under 400 meters to go, but he realizes Caleb Ewan's not on his wheel, so he sits up. It looks chaos from the front of the picture there as it's going curb to curb, but now it's time for Bert van Leerberg to go to work under 400 meters. Bert van Leerberg hits the front because he's got Tim Miller on his wheel doing a fabulous job coming all the way from the back. And then when we look all the way over to the outside there, that's Milano. Where did Milano come from, guys? Let's back the film up and we'll go to about 700, 800 meters back there where Milano was sitting 25th and somehow has found his way up through all the carnage, missed the crashes. He's up on the right side. Tim Miller sitting second wheel behind his sprinter there, Bert van Leerberg, and we're coming into about 225 meters to go. But Milano's coming full gas, coming up the right side. He looks like he's got a shot here of winning stage 11 of the Giro d'Italia as he's starting his acceleration. Coming up, we see the acceleration there from Tim Miller. Tim Miller throws an acceleration in hard on the pedals from the center of the road. Goes all the way center, all the way to the fencing there, the right fencing, and pinches off Milano from UAE Team Emirates and wrecks any dream of Milano winning today's stage 11. But Tim Miller is still going full gas. When we look behind Tim Miller, though, he brought with him Johnny Milland, because Johnny Milland was marvelous in finding his way without his teammates helping him in the last 1 kilometer. They were amazing throughout this whole stage. Don't get me wrong. Liddell Trek team lead out guys, Ed Toons. When we're talking about Stoyevich, you guys were magical today. So don't let anything tell you different. But Johnny Milland's done solo from just about under 1 kilometer, and now he's on Tim Miller's wheel. We're coming into the final 150 meters to go. Johnny Milland starts his sprint. Tim Miller already started his and pinched off Milano. We get into about 175 meters to go. They're side by side. 50 meters to go. Johnny Milland's got the lead here. We come into the finish with about 10 meters to go. Johnny Milland's going to win stage 11 here with a bike throw at the line. Tim Miller gets second. We look behind. Who got third to round out the podium? Caden Groves gets third, then fourth. Fourth was a magnificent five-way bike throw at the line back there, where we see Giovanni there from Cometa get fourth on today's stage. Why did I bring that up? Well, of course, Tim Miller got relegated, so Giovanni back there for Cometa gets a podium here at the Giro d'Italia to round out stage 11 here of the Giro d'Italia. Now, general classification, when we're talking about what happened to Tadej Pogačar, he finished safely in the bunch. Now, why was he doing the sprint back there, and why was he at the front? Guys, you have to do the sprint if you're riding GC, because if Garrett Thomas is at the front of the peloton all the way into 1.9 kilometers ago before he pulled himself off with Magnus Sheffield along with him, who Magnus Sheffield, you were amazing at the finish of this stage 11, but when he pulls his guy off at 1.9 kilometers ago, Tadej Pogačar has to be at the front of the peloton, even if you got to take a risk, because Garrett Thomas is there, and if there's a split in the finish where the peloton splits from the speed of the sprinters, we'll see Tadej Pogačar lose time. So he has to be at the front, but he keeps the race leader's pink jersey, of course, because everybody gets same time when the stage is all said and done. Now, it was a fabulous sprint finish, super exciting, but keep in mind when we go into tomorrow's race, should be a stage for the breakaway specialists because it looks lumpy and bumpy throughout the stage, so I don't think the sprinter teams are going to try to control tomorrow's stage for sure. There's going to be big time attacks. It's going to take a long time for the break to get away, and that's why I think when we look at today's stage 11, all the breakaway specialists were like, why waste the energy today and ride 150 kilometers of flat roads all the way along the coast trying to hold off 10 sprinter teams back there chasing, or at least 4 like we saw today, when we got tomorrow's stage that could be for sure a breakaway day. Make sure you guys like and subscribe. I'll see you guys for tomorrow's stage 12 of the Giro d'Italia real soon.